My name is Rebecca Callahan. I'm 34 years old. And last Tuesday, I sat across a mahogany conference table from the two people who threw me away like I was nothing, watching their faces go from smug to shattered in the span of 4 sentences. They came in wearing their best clothes. My mother, Patricia, in a cream blazer she'd clearly bought for the occasion. My father, Douglas, in a suit that didn't fit right in the shoulders. They had an attorney with them, a man named Gerald Fitch, who set his leather briefcase on the table like he was already planning how to spend money that was never going to be his. They were absolutely certain they were about to walk out of that room with half of a $31 million estate. They were wrong. And the moment my attorney, Caroline Webb, opened the sealed trust documents and began reading aloud, I watched my mother's certainty crumble in real time. By the time Caroline reached Section 4, Clause C, the clause that named me as sole heir and legal daughter, my mother's hand was gripping the armrest so hard her knuckles had gone white. I didn't smile. I didn't say a word. I just watched, because I had waited 20 years for this moment. And I had learned, from the best man I ever knew, that patience is the most powerful thing in any room. But before I tell you what happened in that conference room, I need to take you back to the summer I was 14 years old. To a Tuesday night in August, in a small house in Dayton, Ohio, where my entire world collapsed in the span of a single dinner conversation. If you've ever been made to feel like a burden by the people who were supposed to love you most, stay with me, because this story is for you. And if stories about justice, boundaries, and building something real from nothing resonate with you, take a second to subscribe. I only ask you to do it if you genuinely connect with what I'm sharing here. Where are you watching from right now? Drop a comment and let me know. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Growing up in Dayton, Ohio, I was the middle child, which sounds neutral until you understand the specific architecture of my family's favoritism. My older sister, Courtney, was 3 years ahead of me, with my mother's sharp cheekbones, my father's easy confidence, and the uncanny ability to walk into any room and make everyone feel like they'd been waiting for her. She was magnetic. She was talented. She was, without question, my parents' favorite. My younger brother, Tyler, was 2 years behind me, the baby, the boy, the one my father had genuinely wanted. He could do no wrong either, in the particular way that youngest sons in certain families simply cannot. And then there was me, Rebecca. Brown hair, brown eyes, quiet. I inherited my grandmother Aliner's look, my father's mother, and somewhere along the way, I absorbed her invisible status in the family too. Grandma Aliner had always been the one who sat at the edge of family photos, the one whose birthday dinner somehow always got rescheduled. I learned not to want things out loud in our house. It was safer that way. I was good at school. Genuinely, quietly good. Math came easily to me. So did science. So did the kind of focused problem solving that makes certain teachers sit up straighter when they grade your tests. By 7th grade, my science teacher, Mrs. Holloway, had started leaving research articles on my desk with little sticky notes attached. You should look into this. You'd be excellent at this. Have you thought about this? I started thinking about a lot of things. In the spring of my 8th grade year, I applied for a competitive summer internship program through the Ohio STEM Leadership Initiative. It was a 6-week residential program at Ohio State University for students showing exceptional aptitude in science and mathematics. It covered everything: housing, meals, lab access, mentorship from actual university professors. The total value was close to $5,000. My parents wouldn't pay a cent. I didn't tell anyone I applied. I'd already learned that hope was a private thing in our house. The acceptance letter came in April. Out of nearly 3,000 applicants across the state of Ohio, 40 students had been selected. I was one of them. For one afternoon, just one, I felt like I mattered in a way that had nothing to do with anyone else. That evening, I brought the letter to dinner. I laid it on the table beside my father's plate. My mother read it first. She passed it to my father. He read it. They exchanged a look. Then Courtney mentioned, casually, the way Courtney mentioned everything, that there was a performing arts intensive in Nashville she wanted to attend. 3 weeks, no scholarship. Cost to the family, $1,400. My mother set down her fork. She looked at me with that particular expression she reserved for inconvenient logistical problems. Rebecca, you'll need to decline the Ohio State thing. We can't manage 2 summer programs financially and Courtney's intensive matters for her portfolio. I stared at my plate. That program is fully funded, I said. My voice came out steadier than I expected. It won't cost you anything. It's not about cost, my father said. It's about fairness to your sister. I looked up. How is giving up something I earned fair to anyone? My mother's expression shifted. If you can't prioritize this family, she said slowly, then maybe this family isn't the right fit for you. I thought it was anger talking, a figure of speech, an empty threat. 3 days later, I came home from the public library to find 2 garbage bags sitting on the front porch, packed with everything from my bedroom. My mother was standing in the doorway. I called your father's sister Catherine, she said. She's agreed to take you. She'll be here by 9. I stood on that porch from 5 in the afternoon until 9:15 at night, over 4 hours. The porch light never came on. Courtney's bedroom window was directly above the front door. I didn't look up. I already knew she was there. I could feel it. My Aunt Catherine arrived in a dark green Subaru, driving 4 hours from Columbus. She got out of the car without saying anything, just walked up the driveway, looked at me sitting on those garbage bags, and wrapped me in a hug that lasted a long time. "You're coming home with me," she said quietly. And that's that. I was 14 years old. I didn't know that before Aunt Catherine had left our driveway that night, my parents had signed a legal document inside the house. I didn't know what it said. I was just a scared kid watching Ohio cornfields blur past a car window at night, trying to understand what I had done wrong. It would take 20 years for that document to resurface. And when it did, it would end everything my parents thought they were entitled to. If you're still with me, I want you to know the story gets so much bigger. Drop a comment right now. What do you think my parents had signed that night? Because when my attorney showed it to me for the first time 20 years later, I couldn't breathe for a full minute. Stay with me. We're just getting started. Aunt Catherine's house in Columbus was a modest 2-bedroom on the east side of the city, near a neighborhood that was quietly, stubbornly becoming something better. She was 41 when I arrived. She'd never married. She worked as a senior accountant at a mid-sized logistics firm called Hartwell & Crane, where she'd spent 15 years building a reputation for precision, calm under pressure, and an almost supernatural ability to identify financial inefficiencies. She was the most competent person I had ever met, and she saw something in me immediately. Within 2 weeks of arriving, she enrolled me in Eastmoor Academy, one of Columbus's stronger public high schools with a genuine STEM track. She contacted Ohio State's STEM initiative directly and explained my situation. They deferred my acceptance to the following summer. I attended that program the following July. It changed everything. The summer I was 15, I spent 6 weeks at Ohio State working alongside university researchers on environmental data modeling. My faculty mentor was a woman named Dr. Sylvia Barnett, a professor of applied mathematics who had built software used by 3 different federal agencies. She was brilliant, direct, and ruthlessly encouraging. She also happened to be close personal friends with a man named James Whitfield. James Whitfield was 58 years old when I first met him at a university donor event the summer after my freshman year of high school. He built Whitfield Capital Management from a single office in 1991 into one of the most respected private investment firms in Ohio, with assets under management exceeding $200 million. He had no children. His wife, Margaret, had passed away from ovarian cancer in 2008. He spent his post-grief years pouring himself into his work and into mentoring young people through a scholarship foundation he'd established in Margaret's name. Dr. Barnett introduced us at that event. He shook my hand, asked me 3 questions about my research project, and listened to my answers with the kind of focused attention that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. A week later, he called Aunt Catherine. He wanted to offer me a part-time research assistant position at Whitfield Capital. Paid, structured, real. I was 16. Over the next 4 years, I worked at Whitfield Capital every summer and most school breaks. I learned to read financial models. I learned to analyze market risk. I learned to build the kind of calm, reasoned arguments that move money in the right direction. James Whitfield taught me all of it not by lecturing, but by including me in real conversations, handing me real problems, and treating my analysis like it actually mattered. Because to him, it did. I graduated from Eastmoor Academy in 2008 as class salutatorian. Ohio State offered me a full merit scholarship to their Fisher College of Business. I graduated in 2012 with a 3.97 GPA in finance, summa cum laude. By 2014, I had my CFA certification. James Whitfield offered me a full-time analyst position at Whitfield Capital. By 2019, I was his chief investment officer, overseeing a portfolio that had grown to $280 million. On my 30th birthday, James sent me a card. Handwritten, the way he did everything important. It said, "You didn't need rescuing, you needed room. I'm proud to have given you that. JW." I kept the card in my desk drawer. In those 20 years, my biological family contacted me exactly 4 times. The first was in 2009. My mother called Aunt Catherine's landline, not my cell phone, to ask if I could contribute to Courtney's wedding costs. I declined through Aunt Catherine and said nothing further. The second was in 2014. Tyler sent me a Facebook message asking if I had connections that could help him get a job in finance. I didn't respond. The third was in 2019. My mother sent me an email after a Columbus Business Journal article mentioned my promotion to CIO at Whitfield Capital. The subject line was "So proud of you." I deleted it. The fourth was in 2023, 3 weeks after James Whitfield's death. I had been sitting at his bedside at Ohio Health Riverside Hospital when he passed, pancreatic cancer. He'd been diagnosed in early 2022 and given 18 months. He made it 16. He spent those 16 months updating his estate plan with meticulous care, meeting with his attorney, a woman named Callahan, multiple times to ensure every clause was airtight. He told me once during those final months that he was at peace. "I know what I'm leaving behind," he said, "and I know who deserves it." I didn't ask what he meant. I trusted him completely. 3 weeks after his memorial service, my mother called my cell phone directly for the first time in 20 years. "Rebecca," her voice hadn't changed, that same tone like she was doing me a favor by speaking. "I heard about James Whitfield. I'm so sorry for your loss. I was thinking we could finally reconnect. It's been so long." "It has," I said. I kept my voice level. "I also heard there's a trust reading coming up. Family should be there for these things, I think, to support you." There it was. I asked her how she'd found out about the trust reading. She mentioned an attorney named Gerald Fitch who had done some research. I called Callahan that afternoon. The news she gave me made my stomach tight. Gerald Fitch had filed a formal legal challenge to James Whitfield's trust on behalf of Patricia and Douglas Callahan. Their claim? Undue influence. Their argument? That I had isolated a vulnerable, grieving widower during his illness and manipulated him into rewriting his estate plan in my favor. They were demanding 40% of the estate that Callahan had just valued at $31.4 million. I sat in Callahan's office looking at the challenge filing. In the section where my parents had described our family history, my mother had written that I had voluntarily estranged myself from my family at a young age and subsequently used emotional manipulation to insert myself into a wealthy man's life. The woman who had packed my belongings into garbage bags at age 14 was now claiming I had abandoned her. "Do you have any documentation from 2004? Callahan asked. "Anything establishing why you went to live with your aunt?" "I was 14, I said. "I wasn't exactly filing paperwork." Callahan was already opening a second folder. "Catherine was," she said. She slid a document across the desk. The header read, "Voluntary relinquishment of parental rights and transfer of legal guardianship." Dated August 14, 2004. The document stated that Patricia Ann Callahan and Douglas Warren Callahan, being of sound mind, voluntarily relinquished all parental rights and legal responsibilities for their minor daughter, Rebecca Marie Callahan, and transferred full legal guardianship to Catherine Elaine Whitmore. At the bottom, 4 signatures: my mother's, my father's, Aunt Catherine's. A notary public from Franklin County, Ohio. File number 2004 GH 2219. My hands were shaking. I had been sitting on a porch in the August dark. And inside that house, my mother had been signing away every legal right she'd ever had to call herself my parent. "What does this mean for their claim?" I asked. Caroline's expression was steady. "It means," she said, "that they have no standing. Patricia and Douglas legally ceased to be your parents on August 14, 2004. They terminated that relationship themselves, in writing, with witnesses. They cannot now claim familial connection to contest a trust that names you as beneficiary." She paused. "And that's just the first problem with their case. I know what you're thinking. What's the second problem? What else had James Whitfield prepared for? Drop a comment with your guess." Because what Caroline pulled out of that folder next is what finished Gerald Fitch before the reading even began. Keep watching. The best part is coming. Caroline gave me two options. Option 1, settle. Offer Gerald Fitch's clients $400,000 to $600,000 in exchange for a signed waiver of all future claims. Clean, fast, no public record. Option 2, proceed with the trust reading as scheduled. Let them attend. Let them sit in that room. And let James Whitfield's words, every word he had prepared specifically for this possibility, land exactly as he intended. "James anticipated this," Caroline said. "He left very specific instructions for exactly this scenario. He wanted everything on the record." I went home that night and sat for a long time in the study of the house James had left me, the house where we'd spent so many evenings talking through investment strategy and business ethics, and what it meant to build something that lasted. There were photos on the bookshelves. James and Margaret at their 30th anniversary. James at a groundbreaking ceremony for the Scholarship Center. James and me at my CFA certification dinner, both of us grinning at something someone had just said off camera. I thought about what he would do. At 7 the next morning, I called Caroline. "No settlement, we proceed. If they want to be in that room, let them, but we're not hiding anything." Caroline asked if I was certain. "They made this public when they filed the challenge," I said. "I'm just honoring their choice." The trust reading was scheduled for Thursday, October 12, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. in the offices of Webb and Associates on the 31st floor of the Huntington Center in Columbus. I arrived at 1:45. I wore a charcoal gray blazer over a white shirt. Simple. I had learned from James that composed people don't need to announce themselves. The conference room seated 18. When I arrived, 12 people were already present. Caroline sat at the head of the table. Beside her were two associates. Near the window sat Robert Haynes, the senior auditor from Whitfield Capital's accounting firm, who had managed James's accounts for 11 years. Representatives from 3 organizations sat together on the left: the Margaret Whitfield Cancer Research Foundation, Columbus Children's Discovery Museum, and the Ohio Environmental Coalition, all long-term recipients of James's philanthropy. 3 senior employees from Whitfield Capital, people who had worked alongside me for years, sat near the door. At 2:04, the elevator opened. My mother came in first. Cream blazer, pearl earrings, the practiced expression of dignified grief that I recognized from every difficult family dinner of my childhood. Behind her came my father, gray suit, too tight in the shoulders, eyes that found me briefly then looked away. Behind him came my sister Courtney in a navy dress, looking both expectant and slightly uncertain. And behind Courtney came Gerald Fitch, tall, silver-haired, carrying a leather briefcase that probably cost as much as my first month's salary at Hartwell and Crane. My mother swept the room in the way she always had, looking for the seat of power, planning to take it. "Rebecca," she said, her voice warm in the practiced way that meant she was performing. "It's so good to see you. It's been too long." Patricia, just her name, not Mom, the single word made her pause mid-stride. Caroline rose immediately. "Mrs. Callahan, Mr. Callahan, Ms. Callahan, Mr. Fitch, there are chairs arranged along the wall for attending parties. The conference table is reserved for beneficiaries and estate representatives." My mother's jaw tightened. She had not expected to be directed to the margins. She didn't sit quietly. She stopped beside the representative from the Margaret Whitfield Foundation, a woman named Dr. Andrea Cross, and introduced herself with practiced sorrow. "I'm Patricia Callahan. I'm Rebecca's mother. We were so close to James for many years before the estrangement. He was like family." Dr. Cross nodded politely and said nothing. My mother continued louder. It's heartbreaking what can happen when someone comes into a grieving man's life and creates distance between him and the people who truly loved him. I kept my eyes on the table. I didn't react. James had taught me that too. In difficult negotiations, silence is never weakness. It's a form of control. Gerald Fitch was already writing on his legal pad, scanning for any reaction he could use. I gave him nothing. At exactly 2:10, Caroline cleared her throat. "We'll begin." She opened the sealed trust document with the careful precision of someone who had performed this ritual hundreds of times. "This is the Declaration of Trust of James Arthur Whitfield," she read. "Born March 3, 1945, deceased July 19, 2023. This document was executed on January 14, 2023, and represents the final and complete expression of Mr. Whitfield's wishes regarding the disposition of his estate." My mother sat forward slightly. Caroline continued through the preliminary sections. The trust confirmed James's mental capacity. She noted that a full neuropsychological evaluation had been conducted on January 6, 2023, 8 days before signing. The evaluating physician confirmed James was of sound mind, under no undue influence, and fully competent to execute estate documents. I saw my mother glance at Gerald Fitch. They had been banking on challenging James's mental capacity. This documentation had just shut that door. Then Caroline turned to the section on exclusions. Section 3, regarding claims by Patricia Ann Callahan and Douglas Warren Callahan. My mother actually smiled. She wouldn't be smiling for long. "I have become aware that Patricia and Douglas Callahan may attempt to claim a share of this trust based on their relationship to my beneficiary, Rebecca Callahan. I am addressing their claim directly and wish the following to be read aloud and entered into the record." Sandra's smile flickered. "First, Patricia and Douglas Callahan are not Rebecca's legal parents. On August 14, 2004, they voluntarily executed a legal document relinquishing all parental rights to their daughter, Rebecca Marie Callahan, transferring full guardianship to Catherine Elaine Whitmore. This document is on file with Franklin County Family Court, case number 2004 GH 2219. My father stood up. "That's got nothing to do with Mr. Callahan." Caroline's voice was level. "Sit down, please, or I will ask you to leave and continue in your absence." Gerald Fitch grabbed my father's arm and pulled him back into his seat. Even the attorney's face had gone pale. Caroline continued reading James's words. "Second, in March of 2007, Douglas Callahan contacted me directly by phone, having obtained my number through Rebecca, to request a personal loan of $60,000. I declined. He subsequently contacted me twice more in 2009 and 2011 with similar requests. I declined both times and did not inform Rebecca of any of these calls because I did not wish to cause her further pain regarding her family's conduct." My mother's head turned slowly toward my father. He was staring at the table. He had never told her. All these years, he had never told her. "Third, Patricia Callahan's claim that Rebecca isolated me from my family is false and demonstrably so. I have maintained complete records of my calendar, correspondence, and visitor logs for the entirety of my illness. Rebecca spent 71 of my final 200 days at my bedside, the same as my attorney and my physician. I was never isolated. I was loved. There is a difference." A soft sound escaped my mother's throat. Caroline set down the page. Section 4, Designation of Sole Beneficiary and Legal Heir. The room went still. "I hereby transfer the entirety of my trust estate, including all investment assets, real property, liquid holdings, and personal effects, to my legally adopted daughter, Rebecca Marie Callahan Whitfield." Adopted. The word landed like a stone dropped from a great height. My mother went white, not pale, white, like every drop of blood had left her face simultaneously. "Adopted?" Courtney's voice was a whisper. Caroline continued, steady as a current. "Rebecca Marie Callahan was formally adopted by James Arthur Whitfield on March 3, 2017, on the occasion of his 72nd birthday, in Franklin County Family Court, case number 2017 AD 441. As Patricia and Douglas Callahan had legally relinquished parental rights in 2004, no additional consent was required. Rebecca is my daughter in every sense that matters, legally, professionally, personally, and in my heart. There is no one I trust more completely or love more deeply. My vision had gone blurry. I blinked. James had never told me the language he'd used. He had simply, one afternoon in 2017, told me he wanted to make it official. He'd gone to the courthouse on a Tuesday. We'd had dinner after. He ordered the salmon. I ordered the risotto. We talked about a market position we were evaluating. He'd never made it into a ceremony because he said it wasn't a ceremony, it was just the truth formalized. I hadn't known until this moment what he'd written about it. My mother found her voice. "This is a fraud. This is, Mrs. Callahan." Caroline's voice was granite. "You have one more warning." Gerald Fitch leaned toward my mother. "Patricia, we need to, don't." She turned on him. "You told me we had grounds. You told me we would win this." Caroline reached for her iPad. "Mr. Fitch, before we proceed, perhaps you'd like to address something for your clients." She turned the screen to face the room. "This is an email dated September 9th, 2021 from James Whitfield to Gerald Fitch. Subject line, termination of professional relationship." The room went absolutely silent. Caroline read aloud. "Gerald, I am ending our professional relationship, effective immediately. Your repeated suggestion that I include members of Rebecca's biological family in my estate planning, despite their documented history of financial exploitation and emotional abandonment, is a fundamental betrayal of your obligation to represent my interests. I will be engaging new counsel. James Whitfield." She looked up. Mr. Fitch previously represented James Whitfield. He was terminated for advocating against his client's clearly stated wishes. He subsequently accepted this case against his former client's estate without disclosing that prior relationship or the termination to his current clients. Gerald Fitch's face had the color of old cement. My mother turned to look at him. "You represented James, you knew him, you told us you had inside knowledge of the case, you never said." Gerald Fitch was already standing. Briefcase. Jacket. "The practiced exit of a man who knows the exit is the only move left. We should discuss this privately," he said, his voice stripped of everything that had made it confident 3 hours ago. "Gerald," my mother's voice rose. "Gerald, sit down, we're not finished." The conference room door closed behind him with a soft, definitive click. My mother stood frozen, abandoned by her own attorney. In front of everyone she had intended to impress. My father hadn't moved in several minutes. He sat folded into his chair like a man who had finally understood the cost of a lifetime of looking away. Courtney was crying quietly. I still don't know exactly what she was crying about. My mother turned to me. The performance was entirely gone now. What was left underneath looked smaller, older, and for the first time, genuinely ashamed. "Rebecca," her voice cracked, "we're still your family. Whatever the papers say, blood is blood." I stood. "Patricia. You stopped being my family on August 14th, 2004. You signed that document yourself. I didn't make that choice. I was 14 years old with 2 garbage bags on a porch in the dark." I looked at her steadily. "I don't hate you, I genuinely don't, but you have no claim on me, not legally, not emotionally, not in any way that matters. You made sure of that yourself." I turned to Caroline. "Please continue." My mother sat down. She didn't speak again for the rest of the reading. I know that felt like the ending, but it wasn't. Because what happened in the weeks after that reading, and what I found out about my sister Courtney specifically, changes everything you think you know about this story. If you've made it this far, you deserve to hear how it ends. Stay with me. The trust was formally concluded at 4:22 p.m. Caroline closed the document and looked at me. "Rebecca, as sole beneficiary and trustee, would you like to say anything for the record?" I hadn't planned to speak, but there were people in that room who deserved to hear something real. I stood up. "Most of you knew James Whitfield for far longer than I did. He found me when I was a teenager who had been thrown away by the people who were supposed to want her. He didn't rescue me. He gave me room to become something I already had the capacity to be. That's rarer than any inheritance." I looked around the room, at the Whitfield Capital employees who had watched me grow from a research assistant into a CIO, at the foundation representatives who had witnessed James's generosity for decades. With this trust, I intend to continue everything James built. The investments will be managed with the same integrity he established. The charitable commitments will be honored. And I'll be adding something new, a scholarship specifically for teenagers from difficult family situations who show exceptional promise in STEM fields. Because someone once believed in me when I had nothing. I want to make that possible for others. My eyes moved briefly to where my mother sat, rigid and silent. As for my biological family, I hold no grudge. I've made peace with what happened. But peace is not the same as an open door. Some doors close permanently. The people who close them don't get to decide when they reopen. I sat down. Robert Haynes, the auditor, began to clap. The others followed. My mother didn't move. In the weeks that followed, the professional consequences for Gerald Fitch were significant. Caroline filed a formal complaint with the Ohio State Bar Association, citing 3 violations: prior representation conflict, failure to disclose, and material misrepresentation to clients. 4 months later, Gerald Fitch received a 9-month suspension, a $20,000 fine, and a mandatory ethics review. 2 of his firm's largest clients transferred their business within weeks of the ruling. I didn't file the complaint. I didn't need to. These were the consequences of choices Gerald Fitch had made entirely on his own. 3 weeks after the trust reading, I received an email from my mother. Subject: please just read this. The message was long. It acknowledged mistakes, blamed circumstances, mentioned financial stress, referred to herself as mom throughout. I read it twice. Then I called my therapist, Dr. Nina Walsh, and read it to her over the phone. "What do you notice?" Dr. Walsh asked. I thought about it. She acknowledges wrongdoing without naming what she did. She centers her own suffering. She doesn't mention me sitting on that porch for 4 hours. And she still calls herself my mother even though she signed that right away. "What do you want to do?" I took 2 days. Then I wrote 4 sentences back. "Patricia, I read your message. I forgave you years ago for myself, but I don't want a relationship. Please don't contact me again." She didn't reply. I felt no guilt. Only the quiet, clean feeling of a chapter fully closed. 2 months later, I received something I hadn't expected. A handwritten letter, plain envelope, my Columbus address. The return name said C. Donnelly, Courtney's married name. I opened it reluctantly. "Rebecca, I'm not writing to ask for anything. I don't want money, I don't want forgiveness, I don't want a place in your life if you don't want that. I just need to say one thing. The night Mom and Dad put your bags on the porch, I was in my room. I watched from the window for the whole time. I saw you sitting there in the dark. I was 17. I could have come downstairs. I could have sat with you, or brought you water, or at the very minimum told you that I saw you and I was sorry. I didn't. I went back to bed. I've thought about that night probably 1,000 times since then. Every time Mom blamed you for things, every time she rewrote the story to make herself the victim, I thought about that window, about what I didn't do. You deserved a better sister than I was that night. I can't fix that, but I couldn't let another year pass without saying so directly. Courtney, I read the letter 4 times. It was the first honest thing anyone in my biological family had ever said to me. No angle, no ask, no deflection, just accountability offered with no expectation of return. I didn't write back immediately. I needed time to understand what, if anything, I wanted to do with that kind of honesty. But for the first time in 20 years, I felt something other than pure distance when I thought about my sister. 4 months later, I wrote back. With conditions: no contact through our parents, no discussions about James's estate, my right to end any exchange at any time without explanation. If she agreed, I was open to a monthly video call, 15 minutes, low pressure, surface level to start. Her reply came in 2 days. 1 word: accepted. The first call was on a Saturday morning in March 2024. I sat in the study with my laptop, watching the clock. When Courtney's face appeared on the screen, she looked different than she had at the trust reading. Less composed, more real. "I wasn't sure you'd answer," she said. "I almost didn't." Something shifted. She laughed, nervous, genuine, and I found myself almost smiling. We talked about surface things. Her kids, a daughter named Ren, 6, and a son named Miles, 9, her job at a local nonprofit. My work restructuring the Whitfield Foundation's grant program. Nothing too close to the bone. At 14 minutes, I said we should wrap up. "Thank you," Courtney said before I could end the call. "For answering, I know you didn't owe me that." "This is step 1, I said. "We'll see what step 2 looks like." Step 1 is more than I expected. We scheduled another call for the following month. After she hung up, I sat in the study for a long time. James's books were still on the shelves. His reading chair was still in the corner. The room still felt like him, in the way that rooms hold the shape of the people who loved them best. I didn't know what Courtney and I would become. Maybe we'd stay in this careful, bounded space. Maybe something would grow there that resembled trust. Maybe not. But for the first time, I was the one deciding. That felt like everything. October 12th, 2024. 1 year exactly since the trust reading. I stood outside the original Whitfield Capital office, a modest 4-story building on North High Street that James had purchased in 1991 with everything he had saved. The building had been renovated the previous spring. New glass, updated lobby, but today I was there for one thing. A bronze plaque had been mounted beside the entrance. The James A. Whitfield Building, in memory of a man who chose love as a verb. 1945-2023. I touched the letters of his name. Under my management, the Whitfield Trust portfolio had grown 14% in its first year. The Margaret Whitfield Foundation had expanded its cancer research grants by 30%. And the new Rebecca Callahan Whitfield STEM Scholarship had awarded its inaugural grants. 7 teenagers from unstable family situations, each receiving full funding for summer STEM programs at Ohio universities. Aunt Catherine stood beside me, looking at the plaque. "He would have hated this kind of ceremony," she said. "He would have pretended to," I said, "then taken a photo of it when he thought no one was watching." She laughed. So did I. The sky over Columbus was clear and wide and bright. James Whitfield used to say that capital, real capital, the kind that lasts, isn't money. It's trust, built slowly, between people who choose to show up for each other. I spent the first 14 years of my life being told I wasn't worth showing up for. The next 20 were spent learning that the people who said that were wrong. Here's what I want you to take from this. Your worth was never theirs to determine. Not your parents, not your families, not anyone's who confused access to you with ownership of you. Forgiveness is something you offer yourself. It's not a door you're required to open for anyone else. And family, real family, is built from choices made freely, every day, by people who see you clearly and stay anyway. James Whitfield chose me. Aunt Catherine chose me. I chose myself. That's the only inheritance that matters. Thank you for staying with this story all the way through. If you've ever had to build yourself back up from nothing, from a porch, from a parking lot, from a phone call that rearranged your whole understanding of who your family was, I hope you know you are not alone. If this resonated with you, subscribe Historias Tranquilas and hit the notification bell. There are more stories like this one coming. And check the description for resources on family boundaries, legal guardianship rights, and how to find support if you're navigating difficult family situations. Until next time, take care of yourself. You've earned it.